is go.
Packet is go.
PTC is go.
LPS is go.
Houston flight is go.
Pilot go.
FTM is go.
Safety com is go.
STU is go.
LRD is go.
SRO is go. CDR is go. Launch Director, NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
It's SEC Sunday Night, presented by Hewitt Diamodoris. Visit hdlawsc.com. It's go time.
All right, grab a drink and grab a snack. Welcome to SEC Sunday Night here live with you every week at 8 o'clock on the Chief Sports Network, and we are proudly presented by Hewitt Diamodoris every Sunday night. These guys are the best personal injury attorneys that are on the planet, and we can't wait for you to have an experience with them as well. Not because we want you to be hurt, but because we want them to be able to help you. We get it. Like, injuries are going to happen. So go to hdlawsc.com. Craig, my man, we got to catch up. What's going on? What's happening?
It's been a minute, back, buddy. Welcome back. Where you been?
Took a little time.
I was expecting Casey here, and all of a sudden you show up. I didn't know who to pay.
You guys had an incredible show last week, and so maybe I should just let Casey come back, and I'll just step on out here.
No, we'll miss you, buddy. Come on.
Look, we enjoyed the 4th, and we took the week off with the rest of Chief. And last week, I was running a camp with 75 teenagers in Panama City Beach, Florida. And so I did get to catch you guys on the replay, which was just, really seriously, kudos, phenomenal show. Loved it. Great information leading into the week that was with SEC Media Days. And you and I had the privilege, of course, of covering that a little bit and writing some stuff to kind of preview it and get ready for it. And I appreciate you looping me in on some writing with that. It was fun. It's fun to get back in the saddle. Fun to get back in the saddle just a little bit and prep some questions. But yeah, my voice is somewhat coming back from yelling at 75 teenagers over the course of the week.
I know nothing about that.
Exactly. Well, look, I'm going to pop in everybody's favorite intern really quick. For those of you who have not met our guy, this is intern Lucas, and he's now producing for us. Lucas, show us the magic sauce. To get the voice back. This is pine needle tea. And if you don't have pine needle tea, we're going to get you going. Look, Lucas is sipping it right now. It's going to fix the vocals.
I'm sure it does.
If you're in the chat box and you want to holler at us, Lucas is out there. So we appreciate you. He's pulling the strings from the back end, getting it going, making sure everything's happening. So if you have some words for us, you can converse with Lucas back there.
How's that tea with granola?
It's pretty good. I didn't have it with granola today, actually, but we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. Look, we're gonna skip over the news and we're gonna come back to it because I want to get right into the TriFit guest line here as we get going today. And coming off the heels of SEC Media Days, there's nothing standing in our way now. Right? This is all football all the way. We're dialed in. You and I have broken down every team.
Yep.
We have predicted every game. And so now it's time to look at it by the numbers just a little bit. This week on the TriFit guest line, we'll remind you that every week our guests are brought to you by TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance in Lexington. Mitch is the owner, and he is incredible, really knows what he's doing. He believes in real health, peak performance. That all starts with personalized care. So whether you're an athlete bouncing back from an injury or just pushing for that next personal best, TriFit's got your back, literally. This is expert coaching, hands-on therapy, none of the insurance red tape. You can show up for a shoulder, tell them you got a knee problem, and you work on whatever you need to work on, right? You can have conversations about nutrition, about recovery, or you can actually do the work while you're there. They had a client drive over 100 miles and say it was worth every mile for them. So go to TriFitPerformance.com to book an appointment. TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, where recovery meets results. This week on the TriFit Performance guest line, we have Max Chadwick from PFF. Max, welcome in. How's it going? Nice to have you tonight.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you.
Max,
look, man,
you, my friend?
Good.
I was able to digest, and it took me a couple of days to digest the 3-hour marathon that you guys did, breaking down the entire SEC and going through every team. First of all, let me just say, appreciate the work and appreciate the thorough breaking down of each team. For me, let's start off in this way, because for anybody who's been under a rock and is not tuned in with PFF, or maybe for a naysayer who doesn't really want to go by the numbers, can you talk a little bit about that process of evaluation that leads to PFF grades, and like what makes it different than other resources that we're following?
Yeah, so we try to do the impossible task of grading every player on every play in every game. And, there's some obviously people that doubt that process, saying, how can you do that? Like, how do you have enough people to do every game in NFL and college football and the FCS and even some D2 and obviously UFL and stuff too? We have hundreds of graders, and they're all trained at an expert level by our head graders. And those head graders are trained by former players, former coaches. So it's like, even if I wanted to, and I think hopefully I know a good deal about football, I could not even grade a game if I wanted to, because I need to get to an expert level before I could do that. So yeah, I understand that some people are like, okay, well, how do you know the assignments for every player and every play? We've seen enough football, and we've been trained by experts in the industry, whether it be high-level coaches. We actually have coaches that coached at the Big Ten level that are on our staff right now, head coaches at the Big Ten level. So they know what they're looking for, and we rely on them, and that's why we are able to do it at a high level. Again, they're not perfect. They'll never be perfect, and I'll never say they're end-all, be-all for it, but I do think it's a stat that is the best for context, better than passing yards or rushing yards or anything like that. And also like, we're like the only ones that really has offensive line stats for college football or NFL too, right? So in my opinion, obviously I'm very biased, but in my opinion, I think we have the best stats just to kind of give the all-encompassing view of what a player is.
You guys do a great job. I'm covering Georgia. I'm looking at the SEC for last word in college football. You're like a go-to source. I'm looking to either break down a player. I'm looking at what is that next level that I need. You guys are the go-to. So I really appreciate your work, and excited to talk with you guys. Excited to talk with you tonight. If I can talk, I need some of that herbal tea Rob had.
Yeah, and like the player personnel guys that we talk to on college staffs are talking about using PFF grades to evaluate through the season before they prepare for the transfer portal as well. So we know that it's a valuable resource, not only because of how popular it has become amongst fans and how popular it is from a social media standpoint, but PFF is being used in the teams amongst coaching staffs to evaluate at that level. And so that really tells me the value of the resource, and it's kind of an all-encompassing statistical measurement.
We literally every NFL team's a client, every FBS team's a client, and we've just crossed recently 100 FCS teams too. And I can tell you, like, the consumer package is, relatively expensive for a consumer, like $120 a year. The team package is extremely expensive. So the fact that every team in FBS, every team in the FBS, and every team at the NFL level, we've heard from teams saying we literally can't operate without you guys. So I think it says a lot that every team in the NFL and basically all of college football, including almost all of the FCS, is using us at a very, very high level.
Yeah, I agree.
So quick question, like for those teams and stuff like that, and maybe this is marketing for those other FCS teams that aren't there. Are you able to tailor some of those packages if a staff says, hey, we're looking at this or we're looking at that? Are you guys able to manipulate that data to really make it for whatever team you guys are working with?
Yeah, we do. So there's this package that they pay for that is not available to the consumer. That is called Ultimate. And I know what the consumer gets is premium when they subscribe to PFF. Ultimate is 100 times bigger than premium. Like, in terms of like any stat you can any stat you want to look for, like how often is a team on cover 3, how on 3rd down and 8, how often does a team do this or that. We can tell like how often, who's the highest graded, or who has the most passing yards in 55-degree weather, right? Like, we could tell you that in 10 seconds. So that kind of database is only available to the teams and clients. Again, for much more higher rate. I know there's some people that people hit me up and say, how much can I buy Ultimate? Like, you can't buy Ultimate. Like, it is a very expensive thing, but every team pays for it because they know just how important it is. And honestly, what it is, I'm not saying that teams just use us and just go by all of our numbers. Like, it saves them time too, because back then, grad assistants have to find every 3rd and 2 and all this. Like, we could tell you this in 5 seconds now. So it's a kind of a big time saver for a lot of schools too.
At what point are we going to the high school level?
Man, we tried it before. We tried it for a little bit, and it ended pretty quickly. It's just first of all, there's like 100 times more teams, and then like competition level is just so hard. So like grading players, like one kid, say at the highest level of Texas football, who grades like a 65, he's probably better than a kid who's playing in Wyoming, and grades at an 85 level, right? Yeah. Because of the high level. At the FBS level is pretty even. Obviously, you got to take a grain of salt with like a group of 5 players grading at like an 85 level or whatever. But high school is too much. We actually did try before for a couple high schools, and it just became way too much for our graders. And they're already, trust me, those graders are pulling all nighters all weekend, so they're already doing enough for us. Trust me.
Okay, so let's drill down to, if we narrow our focus to what's blasted all over the screen here around us, and look at the SEC. Is there a clear-cut favorite in your eyes when you look at numbers and you look at projections? We just got SEC coaches telling us what the preseason teams are going to be, but we also got that projected finishing order for you as you look at it and as you break it down. Like I said, I listened to you guys, and you kind of did the over-under. Like, how do we think these guys are going to land? Is there a clear-cut head and shoulders team that falls above everybody else this year?
No. I think there's a pretty clear top few teams. In my opinion, the top 2 is pretty obvious in Texas and Alabama. I know some people might say Alabama, wait, they didn't make the playoff last year. I think Alabama, top to bottom roster-wise, is among the 4 or 5 best in college football. I know they have a brand new quarterback in Ty Simpson, but he was a former 5-star recruit. Actually, I liked a lot what I saw from him last year, and he might even be a better fit for the offense that Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer runs than Jalen Milroe was, right? So you have that, an elite offensive line. Ryan Williams, for his sophomore year at wide receiver, is a superstar. A great receiving core outside of that. And then might be the best defense in college football. I mean, you have a superstar at every single position on defense. So Alabama, I think, should have a major, major bounce back next year and could compete for a national title. And obviously Texas, they're up there too for the best defense in the country with superstars everywhere in that defense. And then obviously Arch Manning on offense too, I think will be a big upgrade over Quinn Ewers, who I think kind of held them back at times last year too. So that, and then obviously after that you got teams like Georgia and LSU and schools like that. I think Texas A&M could be a really interesting team this year too, and they could have hit a high ceiling. But I see the top 2 for me right now are Texas and Alabama, I would say.
I love what you're saying about Arch. If you just wanted to talk more about Arch for, the next 25 minutes, we could, but, Rob already hears that from me week in, week out.
Hey, listen, Craig, if you look at PFF's top 50 players of 2025, 21 of the top 50 are SEC players, and Arch Manning is at number 50. So there are a few quarterbacks they have graded ahead of him. So that's all I'm going to say.
I do have a quarterback question, and shockingly enough, it is not about Arch Manning. My Georgia Bulldogs, kind of, I feel like are getting passed over, right? I feel like Alabama, Texas, kind of getting some of that. You look at the defense, it seems like the defense is set. What is it about the offense, Gunnar Stockton? I really feel like you look at the offense from 2024. I never thought it got going. So, what are the things that are holding Georgia back in 2025 to really make you say, hey, they should be right up there with Alabama and Texas?
Yeah, I think Carson Beck, it wasn't a great year last year. I think he was wrongfully blamed for a lot of last year, though, too. That receiving core was not very good. I mean, you lost Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey, who are two you can see in the NFL now, they're 2 stars in the NFL already in their rookie years. They missed them last year. They really missed them last year. They had a great receiving core in 2023. It was like outside the top 80 in receiving grade in 2024. So I'm worried about that. They brought in Zachariah Branch, who we'll see, right? He's a top 5 recruit coming out of high school. Hasn't lived up to the hype yet at USC, but very talented kid. Noah Thomas is a really good player. I think him from Texas A&M at 6'6" could be a big target. Gunnar Stockton, and I know judging him off last year is not fair because he played Texas and Notre Dame, who are 2 of the best defenses in the country. He wasn't very impressive in those 2 games, in my opinion, either, though. So I'm a little worried about him. Maybe with a full offseason as a starter, he could be a lot better. The other thing I'm really worried about, that offensive line, the tackles weren't great last year. The interior offensive line was outstanding, but all 3 guys from the interior just got drafted. So that offensive line all of a sudden has some question marks. I know Georgia always recruits well at offensive line, but I was worried about the tackles last year. Now all the interior guys are gone too. I like the running backs. They always have great running backs, and Nate Frazier should be a star in college football. I'm not saying that, but between Gunnar Stockton, the receiving core that has to be a lot better with new guys in there, and now an offensive line that has 3 new starters on the interior from an interior offensive line that was the best in college football last year. That's what worries me a little bit with Georgia going into next year.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, and like I'm hopeful, and maybe that's why we're playing like Marshall and Charlotte to make sure that offensive line.
Don't forget Austin P. Go Governors. All right, listen, we're talking quarterbacks. This is what people like. Okay, people love to talk quarterbacks. So, who is the most underrated guy as you look at the numbers here? Because we can obviously talk about Nuss, and we can talk about Arch, and we can talk about Sellers and Lagway, and I think those are probably your top 4 in terms of hype, expectations. To be honest, Diego Pavia is a really good quarterback. As much as he's now run his mouth and made some people mad, he's a really good player. Is there somebody that's flying under the radar? I have my thoughts, but I just want to see. Like, I know that you guys are breaking it down on kind of a different level and from a different viewpoint.
Yeah, I think I was just gonna say Diego Pavia. I think he's a top 10 quarterback in the country. I think he's a guy that for the NFL is probably not gonna be great because of just his size and physical talent, but he's an awesome college football quarterback, and I think he's the guy that I would go with as maybe the most underrated one right now. I think you just know what you're getting out of Diego Pavia, and he's got an elite tight end to throw to too, and Eli Stowers too. So I would say Diego Pavia is probably my pick for the best after that. And then obviously you got a lot of other quarterbacks too. You know what? My answer might change to, I think Diego Pavia is up there. Taylon Green I love from Arkansas. I think Taylon Green is a freak athlete. I think he's a top 15 quarterback in America. He's obviously a big game hunter who's not the most accurate overall, but he could run for 80 yards at any point on you. Got a massive arm too, who's capable of some unbelievable throws. And I thought he got a lot better from what he showed at Boise State in 2023 to Arkansas this past year. I think Taylon Green, I believe I ranked him my number 11 quarterback in the country going into next year. Taylon Green and Diego Pavia, I think, are 2 guys that are not getting enough love right now in the SEC.
How do you like a guy like Simmons from Ole Miss? He's got a lot of buzz. You know, he's got a nice series against Georgia. Even Arch has limited tape. How do you guys go about Ty Simpson limited action? These guys don't have a full season's worth of tape. How do you guys work into those evaluations to figure out and project? I think these guys are ready. These guys may be somewhere else.
Yeah, obviously he's very limited. Right, he only has 34 career dropbacks, I believe, at Ole Miss. But I think you look at when the lights were brightest in that Georgia game when he needed to play for a drive when Jackson Dart got hurt, he led them on to a touchdown. I believe he went 5 for 6 or something like that in that drive. 5 for 6 and a touchdown. Yeah, very impressive. And the other thing too, he's obviously a very talented kid as a former, I believe, 4-star recruit, former baseball player too. The other thing too is that Lane Kiffin offense is very quarterback friendly, and we've almost never seen a quarterback fail in that offense either. They have a great receiving core once again, even though they lost superstars like Trey Harris from that receiving core. I still like the receiving core a lot. Still probably a top 5 receiving core in the country, in my opinion. I think Austin Simmons maybe not going to be as good as Jackson Dart, who's a first-round pick, but he's probably going to be pretty good. And I think, obviously, again, it's very limited sample size we have from him, but the fact that he looked good in a huge moment against Georgia and he's playing in an offense that's very quarterback-friendly, I do have high hopes for Austin Simmons in 2025.
The thing that gives me hope about Austin Simmons is that, obviously if you're starting for Lane Kiffin, then you have the physical tools. And we talked about his recruiting ranking and that evaluation. I think we can kind of see that that's all there. It's the fact that he's a 19-year-old master's student that tells me that he's got it together between the years. The question is, how mentally tough can he be under pressure? We know that he can process, but how well can he do when the pressure's coming down? That's the one thing that we don't know because we don't have so much game film. But I do think that Austin Simmons is kind of the breakout star that I'm looking at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I was going to say, too, that's a good question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The pressure, because that offensive line has been the biggest issue with Ole Miss in recent years. So dealing with pressure could be an issue with him in next year, just because that offensive line has, like I said, it's had some big problems in recent years.
All right. I'll be remiss if I don't, considering we are on the Chief Sports Network, which features shows like Inside the Gamecocks and is loosely affiliated with the Big Spur. Let's talk about Lenore Sellers and Dylan Stewart as the top 2 players for South Carolina for just a moment. Where do those 2 guys rank? Obviously, I think, quarterback is the most important position in all of sports, and there's a lot of weight that's on that. Sellers voted by the coaches as the top quarterback in the conference preseason. He's first team All SEC, and so obviously there's big expectations there. The other extremely important position is the guy that's trying to get him down, right, in the edge rusher position. So South Carolina has those major 2 pieces. How far can stars like Sellers and Stewart take the Gamecocks in 2025?
They're hoping pretty far. I actually didn't know that he was first team All SEC. I very much disagree with that. I think, first of all, Garrett Nussmeier should have been almost consensus QB1 for that. He's proven it. And then I would even I know Arch Manning barely played, but I would throw him over him. I would throw DJ Lago over Sellers. I would throw Pavia, even maybe Taylor Green. Sellers is a guy who's in theory quarterback. And I get the tools. It's very Anthony Richardson-like, in my opinion. And Jalen Milroe, you can even throw in that conversation too. Where it's okay, you see the rocket arm, you see the unbelievable mobility. And that alone will make him one of the better quarterbacks. He's still a top 15 quarterback in the country. There's no denying that. I'm not saying he's not, a very good quarterback at all. But I just, with guys like Anthony Richardson and Milroe just leaving a lot to be desired, I'm a little weary of Sellers. I think his decision-making, his accuracy still leaves a lot to be desired right now. He's obviously more physically talented probably than any other quarterback in the country. But again, he reminds me so much of Anthony Richardson and Jalen Milroe that I'm just a little let's just wait and see before we start crowning him as a number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft or the best quarterback in the SEC either. I'm not there yet. As for Dylan Stewart, that guy's a superstar. I have no question about that guy right now. The only thing I would say is get a little bit stronger in the run game, but he was an 18, 19-year-old in the SEC last year. He's going to get stronger in the weight room as he develops more, right? As a pass rusher, he's probably the best pass rusher in college football right now. I would say that right now. The only reason why I have him number 2 in the country at edge rusher is because I thought Colin Simmons, who's basically as good of as a pass rusher as Dylan Stewart, but a little bit better as a run defender, that's why I have him number 1. But Dylan Stewart, tools-wise, is probably the freakiest player at edge rusher in the country right now. He's a top 5 pick probably in the NFL draft in 2027. So Stewart, I have no questions with really besides run defense. Sellers, I'm a little more wait and see with him right now.
Is there anybody else on that roster that sticks out and pops to you? Obviously, from a front 7 standpoint, there's a lot of guys being replaced. You got to replace Nicky Memoria in the safety position. So the defense has some – I think that Shane Beamer did a good job of bringing in the right pieces in the transfer portal, and there's some guys that were being developed behind them. And I trust Torian Gray as far as the secondary goes. And then from an offensive standpoint, Nick Harbor's a layup, right? Because if he puts it together, then you have freak athleticism with the ability to run routes and catch the ball if he can get all of that together. Is there anybody though that stands out to you as you look at from a roster standpoint that's not named Lenore Sellers or Dylan Stewart on that roster that helps the Gamecocks elevate their game?
Yeah, I think Sellers and Sellers and Stewart are 2 of the freakier players in college football in terms of athleticism. Nick Harbor is the freakiest athlete in college football. Now, He's very raw. He's a guy as a route runner is just very underdeveloped right now. He was a guy that, coming out of high school, we didn't know if he's going to play wide receiver, tight end, or edge rusher, right? So This is it's understandable why he's so raw as a receiver right now, just because he didn't know what he's going to be. But his hands need some work. His route running needs a lot of work. But this guy has – I know I'm not saying this to be, very hot takey, but he has Calvin Johnson level athleticism right now. He's a guy who's, 6'4", 6'5", 235. He ran a 10-1 in the 100-meter dash, a 20.2 in the 200-meter dash. The U.S. Olympic team invited him out, I believe this summer, to train with them as a maybe potential sprinter. And he said, no, I'm going to focus on football. So you have a guy who's like a tight end size who could be an Olympic-level sprinter. That's unbelievable, right? So, again, very raw. But that kind of athleticism, if you could develop a little bit more, that kind of athlete does not fall out of the first round of the NFL draft. If you could develop a little bit more. Again, he was a leading receiver last year for the team as a wide receiver. but he's just very underdeveloped right now. But man, that guy, there's no athlete in the country who's freakier than Nick Harbor. I'm really hoping he can put it together this year as a junior, because he could be an absolute superstar if he really develops a little bit more as a route runner.
Well, you talk about Calvin Johnson, and another former Detroit Lions wide receiver who actually was a leading receiver once upon a time in the NFL is Mike Furry, who is now the wide receivers coach at South Carolina. So the developmental process that we've been able to see with the receivers under Furry, he actually made the statement that he was good with the freshman class of 6 that they had coming in not to go to the portal. And you look at how that receiving corps graded out last year, it left some things to be desired for sure. But for him to be able to look at it and say, I'm good with the talent that's here, let's bring them up to speed. I think that the expectation is and has been around that fan base that it's past time for Harbor to put it together. But to your point, there was a lot of development and figuring out where you're going to be. This is the year, though. This is the money year where we're going to see if he can put things together and get to the NFL. Let's flip to the other side of the ball, and we'll get you out of here. When you look at it from a defensive standpoint, there once upon a time, the SEC was known as the best defensive league in the country. Speed off the edges, hard-hitting football. The game has shifted and changed a little bit, and it's not that the SEC defenses aren't as stout as maybe they once were, but the offenses have really picked up their game. Is there somebody that stands out to you from a team standpoint that's just going to have the defense? You mentioned Alabama before. Is there a team that stands out to you that is going to be able to really shut people down this year and have superstars on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I would say so I actually put out an article recently at PFF.com, the top 10 offenses in the country and the top 10 defenses in the country. Okay. My top 2 defenses in college football are from the SEC in Alabama and Texas. Alabama, this offseason I ranked the top 10 players at every position in college football. Alabama is the only team in the country who had a top 10 player at every single defensive position. So I think Alabama's defense is probably the best in America right now. Texas, in my opinion, has the best secondary in the country and the best linebacker unit in the country. And then obviously the best edge rusher in the country too in Colin Simmons, like I said before. The best linebacker in America in Anthony Hill Jr. You have 2 stars in that secondary, Malik Muhammad and Michael Taft too. I think Alabama and Texas are going to be elite defensively and the 2 best in the country, in my opinion. After that, you got teams like Georgia, still going to be really good. I know they lost some talent from that defense in the form of 3 first-round picks, but they still are really, really good defensively. So Georgia is going to be up there too. Texas A&M, I really like their defense too. Torian York is a star at linebacker, probably the second best linebacker in all of college football. The defensive line is probably a top 15 D-line in the country. Guys like Cassius Howell, who's I think going to have a breakout year next year too. The secondary has to play better at Texas A&M, but again, that front 7 for A&M should be really good. So, in my opinion, the 2 best in the country, Alabama and Texas. I still really like Georgia, and then a school like Texas A&M should be keep an eye on too.
What about what Brett Baker's done over at LSU? Do you think he's got the mix? Like to me, this is the most important year for LSU, right? Like they've got Nuss coming back. I agree with you. He should be at number 1. Sorry, everybody. But what about from that defensive perspective? Do you think they did a great job of the portal? Do they have enough to maybe help get them into that top 2?
God, you hope so. Because you look at what they've had the last couple of years. I mean, there is no excuse why that team in 2023 should have lost 3 games. They had the best offense in college football in 2023. Jaden Daniels, a Heisman Trophy winner, now a superstar in the NFL. Malik Neighbors, the best receiver in the country that year, in my opinion, who's now a star in the NFL. Brian Thomas Jr., now a star in the NFL. And a great offensive line. No reason why they should have lost 3 games. The reason why they lost 3 games was because the defense was that bad. This past year, had a great offense once again. Garrett Nussmeier was one of the best passers in the country. That offensive line was elite. Great receiving core too. Defense once again let them down. It better be better this year. That's the one question for LSU. And now I will say, linebacker unit is elite. They have Whit Weeks, who's a star at linebacker. Harold Perkins Jr., hoping to bounce back from his injury. He was a star before that too, though. So you might have the best linebacker unit in the country. I like a lot of the additions they made in the secondary. I think A.J. Halsey, really, really good player at safety. Mansour Delane, a lot of people think he could be a first-round pick at corner too. You're hoping he could be that for you. And then you're hoping that D-line that lost a lot of pieces, Patrick Payton, can he live up to the hype that, he had at Florida State? He never quite lived up to it there. Dominic McKinley was a highly rated recruit coming out at D tackle too. You're hoping the D line can be better. You're hoping the secondary can be better. The linebacker unit should be fantastic. This defense needs to step up next year because the offense, while it's still be great with Garrett Nussmeier, the offensive line is basically all brand new with 4 new starters there. They lost some weapons at receiving core. The receiving core should still be really good, and the running back unit should still be really good. But that offensive line is a question mark for LSU right now. So that defense needs to perform a lot better if they want to be a playoff team next year.
I believe in Blake Baker, and just so for our purposes of our conversation, and our listeners have heard me say this, I think LSU wins the SEC this year. That's my. If we're going hot takes, that's my shot. All right.
That's hot. We also have a take on here called "I Was Wrong." So Max will bring.
Yeah, we have a segment called "I Was Wrong." So maybe I'm gonna set myself up. We'll see what happens. All right, Max. Thanks a lot for coming in. Max Chadwick from PFF College Football. We really appreciate you and all that you guys do. Thanks for coming and chopping it up about the SEC with us, and we'll look forward to maybe getting you on once the season gets going. We have some real game film to look at.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
Have a good one, bud.
All right, guys. It is time for a quick break here. Just as a reminder, Hewitt Diamonduras Law is here for you when you're down. Personal injury, car accident, fall, dog bite, you name it. Hewitt Diamonduras is here for you. Brad and Dean love relationships. I love those guys. They want to personally know you and help you. This is not a corporate situation where they're going to pass you off to somebody else. They're going to sit down and be involved. So go to hdlawsc.com today and contact Brad and Dean at Hewitt Diamonduras. They're on your team. And we will be right back here on SEC Sunday Night on the Chief Sports Network.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamonduras Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamonduras, we're on your team.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe true health and peak performance start with personalized care. Whether you're an athlete, recovering from injury, or just chasing your next personal best, we're here to guide your journey. With expert coaching, hands-on therapy, and transparent cash-based pricing, you get the care you need without the insurance red tape. One client drove 100 miles just to see us and said it was worth every mile. Contact us at trifitperformance.com or 803-353-5619. TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, where recovery meets results.
Yo, what's up?
Baby, let's go!
This is SEC Sunday Night on the Chief Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to SEC Sunday Night here on the Chief Sports Network, live with you every Sunday night at 8, and we are rapidly approaching college football season. Craig, we had SEC Media Days this week. We also have the SEC. Yeah, okay, so let's go there because it's time for some news that matters, all right? Before we get into these teams and projections and predictions and where we think everything's going to land, let's talk about Media Days. We asked some questions last week.
We did.
We asked about Austin Simmons. We asked about replacing production in South Carolina. We asked about Auburn and how Hugh's golf game is. We asked a lot of stuff.
Did you see what you wore to the media days on day 2?
Oh, I didn't know we were doing an outfit description here. Fashion
He had
pod.
his foot gear, ankle socks on. So he had his golf socks on. He was ready to go hit the course after media days.
Hey, sometimes you just got the bug. You need to go swing it.
No, not that bad.
I mean, I think some other questions that were important is like, how do we measure progress for Florida? I think Florida can be. This is one of those teams where they could be better this year and the record look the same, or potentially even worse. You know what I mean? Like, you could be better from a talent standpoint, but just because of the schedule. And then
DJ is going to have to be healthy, I think, for Florida to be able to do anything.
On my screen. Yeah. Good question. Okay.
Yeah.
And then day 4, is day 4 the worst day? Pittman, Stoops, Drink, Elko?
No, day 4 gave us the best.
All right, tell me about it.
So day 4 is the worst day for conference. It usually is the worst day for conferences. But here's what I love. Drink actually showed up. One of the things that we had talked about last week is that
we know he's going to run his mouth.
Well, I want him to actually run his mouth and have fun. He was talking about, no, I'm not going to answer anything about the Epstein papers. He was poking at everybody. Good for you, Drink. I appreciate that. Did you see he came up too and he went counter to the Commissioner Sankey? Rather, everybody's talking about 5+11, and Drink is like, no. Drink is like, no. I like the 4-4-2-2-2-1 auto bids because he thinks it's going to like include like 30 teams. Because according to Eli, that those 4 guaranteed spots in the SEC, what we're going to do is we're going to have like 8 teams play each other for those spots. Stop it, Eli. We're not doing it. We're not going to give Mizzou the chance. Fight your way in the real way by winning. Don't do this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I can't believe I'm going to say it.
Don't do it. Oh, because
I don't want to.
Columbia love everybody.
I don't want to agree with the Drink because nobody likes Missouri. But no, seriously,
I think after you know.
I think in all honesty, I'm starting to lean your way. I think that Sankey is convincing me to lean to the 5-11.
Yep.
I could still make a strong argument for the 4-4-2-2-1, 3, whatever it is, the phone number method. But
8675309.
I love it when Craig sings. Everybody, it makes the show.
Oh, look, all our numbers went like this.
And but the 5-11, I think, to Sankey's point, opens up more opportunities for the SEC. And if you're going to go out and earn it, then you just go out and earn it. And I think if you're the best conference in the country, then you got to go get it done.
What's interesting, and I see Michael Lynn just posted in the chat talking about traditional rivalries. Sankey has talked a lot about this 8+9. Thank you, Philip. That's why you're our friend, buddy. 5+11 is the way. Sankey has been hammering home 5+11. But you noticed, like, all through this week when Sankey was talking, he was starting to lay the seeds that he knows in order to go to 5-11, the Big Ten is the only one who's holding against them. And the Big Ten is angry because the SEC isn't going to 9 games. Well, it seems like Sankey was also starting to put a little feelers out there. He talked about, yes, we do play 8 conference games, but we also require 1 non-conference game to be up against a Power 4 opponent. But here's a couple other things that I think if you look a little bit deeper, where Sankey knows that the 9-game conference schedule not only is going to get him more money from the mouse, but in addition, he's laying the seeds where it's already set up. If we look past the 2026 season, almost every single team only has 3 non-conference games on their schedule. So it's already set up to go to that 9-conference game. He also talked about this week that, well, how's this going to work? Is Georgia and South Carolina going to be rivals? Is Georgia going to play Tennessee? Are they going to play Auburn? Over a 4-year cycle, every team is going to have 3 rivals, which will cycle out every 4 years. So this is going to give us some variety in the scheduling. It's going to be interesting. Yes, we're going to lose some regular season matchups. Yes, we're going to lose some rivalries. But here's the deal. We're going to get better games. It's going to be better for us talking here on YouTube, on the podcast first. But more importantly, it's going to be better for us whether we're sitting at home watching the games or we're jamming out at the stadium.
Okay, so let's kind of work our way up then. What about Mark Stoops? Because I know you have something to say about our friends in
Well,
blue before we move on to teams that are going to compete this year.
Well, Mark Stoops, I think, is the guy and the poster child for why many coaches are not going to want to go from 8 to 9 wins. To quote Mark Stoops, this shit is hard. No, are you serious, buddy? Come on. That was his quote. Oh, it's really hard. He talked about he's been at Big Blue for 13 years and he's starting to tank. Oh, it's really hard. Yeah.
And as our friend Mike Morgan has told us, when you go out with another woman and think that you're going to run away with her, and then she decides to let you go, and you have to go back to your wife, makes for a contentious household.
It does. Maybe he should have went to Texas A&M.
That was the Texas A&M Kentucky Mark Stoops fiasco. Now we're a couple years removed. I'm telling you, I just don't see it. Our spreadsheet says that they'll, on my end at least, that they are the bottom feeders of the SEC this year.
Yep. Nope,
I think they hit the under.
I'm right there with you. So to me, those are the biggest days. I do think Lane Kiffin has also cemented himself as the voice of the SEC. You saw, he held up apparently his private Jane to go plane, not Jane. He held up his private plane to go on Feinbaum, and they were on for like 9 minutes. And I'm sorry, like Lane gets the assignment. He may screw around and he may lose games that he's not supposed to, but he knows how to entertain. He's got one of the best Twitter accounts out there. He's going to troll everybody. Poor Hugh in the golf game is so funny because of what Lane does to him. But the way that he and Feinbaum can interact, it brings a joy to the game and reminds us that it's not like the boring, stodgy NFL. This is why we love college football.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. That he has an ability. The thing is, that makes everybody else hate him when he comes at your team. But like him going at Auburn makes Auburn fans hate him. But it makes the rest of the SEC be like, haha, that's hilarious. We love Lane for that. And so
he won a Beamer in Carolina last year when he got juiced, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Multiple times. And then when they came and beat us, or when Ole Miss came and beat South Carolina in Columbia.
Were you playing?
Yeah, exactly. You made the correction, okay? When they came and beat South Carolina in Columbia badly, he trolled a little bit with Juice afterwards. Now, is it funny that Juice's draft stock plummeted and he couldn't manage to outcatch the tight end? I mean, yeah, a little bit, but that's another argument for another day. What about the big names? Anybody stick out to you from that top tier, like Kirby, Sark, DeBoer? I'll throw Brian Kelly in there.
I think you can tell the pressure and the focus is on there for Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
Talked about he kept talking about Clemson, and that's going to go like one of two ways. It either is the thing that gets LSU over the hump. They break that 5-game losing streak like we talked about with Lou.
Yep.
Or that could derail the season game one because you put so much focus, you put so much energy into one game where the guys either get too hyped up or whatever that they can't find it again. So to me that was the most important one. From Texas, you saw what a show Arch Manning is. My God, I think you look like a Vineyard Vines fashion model in that outfit. That reminded me of the boarding school that I may frequent on a daily basis, but definitely had the prep school look. But to me, like again, he answered all the questions. He carried himself. He also understands the assignment. He knows the pressure, but he doesn't take it too seriously. I think Texas is the team to beat this year in 2025, and it seems like everybody's kind of locked and loaded. I think Sark had a really good quote this week where he said, these guys aren't satisfied. They've been to 2 straight semifinals. They lost last year to Georgia. These guys are still hungry. And I think that's what is going to be the most interesting thing for Texas because they are the hunted. They have the target now on their backs.
Yep, I agree. And, your question that you wrote for Kirby last week was, did you miss your window? And kind of playing that underdog role. We just talked to Max Chadwick from PFF, and he's talking about numbers. And I agree with him about the talent from Alabama. The thing that I would say is that I think Ryan Grubb is the difference maker in Tuscaloosa. We'll see. But why are we sleeping on Georgia? I don't understand. Why would we? Why? Yeah, maybe that's it. But
I honestly, I think that's what it is.
Why would we discount them? Why? I don't understand. Like the talent is still at a top level. I don't think it's fallen off like that. And Gunnar Stockton is no different than every quarterback they've ever had. Carson Beck was kind of an exception.
Right.
You win 2 national championships with Stetson Bennett. Come on now. Like, the game has not changed that drastically since Stetson Bennett was on the sideline or taking snaps.
Nope.
So,
and to be honest, I think you're a Georgia fan. Maybe South Carolina fans aren't going to want to hear this, but to me, I think Gunnar Stockton's Aaron Murray 2.0. Guy who's a little bit fiery, maybe a bit, and just gonna come out there. He's gonna throw his guts out there. But I swear, it's like there is Georgia fatigue, and I think that's what it is. They're still pick number 2. There are a lot of questions on offense. Let's be honest. Even with the great Carson Beck last year, the offense struggled to kind of find their way. Stockton's going to give them a little bit of a 2-pronged assault. Max talked about all those offensive linemen drafted. The offensive line was not that good. They have not been great. I tell you, I wish Matt Luke would come back from Clemson back to Georgia because he knew how to do that, or maybe Sam Pittman come from Arkansas, get the offensive line right. But to me, I think it's just, to me, if you're Kirby Smart, you're loving it because it's not all the accolades, not all the stuff. You don't have all the stars in front of you. Now you are the quote unquote underdog.
Yeah, no, and that's where I would say I think that Kirby thrives. I think that he thrives there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You want to look at these? Let's look at the projected order just really quickly, and I'll just read it off for you. You already mentioned Texas at 1, Georgia at 2. Some other notables here. LSU coming in at 4.
Low. Too low.
You think they should be higher than that?
I do. So your top 4 of Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU. There's probably not. That's probably your tier 1 of your SEC. To me, with what LSU has coming back, 2 or 3, I think makes sense. I think Georgia has more questions offensively. Alabama, I know they've got the 18-year-old at wide receiver, but I'm still not sold on Ty Simpson.
I'm definitely not sold on Ty Simpson.
No.
So I've said it on record that I think Jalen Russell is starting by game 6. So
right. So to me,
I love LSU.
Should be like 2 or 3. Yeah, I know you do.
Okay, South Carolina's at 5. And as much as I like to see that, it is a little shocking.
Yep.
Let's
look at.
I didn't expect that much respect, I guess. Yeah.
A lot of holes to fill for being at 5. Florida, we've talked about that October-November stretch. 6 is rich.
Yep.
Ole Miss at 7, I think.
I agree.
That's too low.
I agree.
How about Marcel Reed?
Do you have it in front of you
Gunnar Stockton?
Browser is frozen.
Yeah. So we're talking about.
Go ahead and finish it out.
Yeah. So, we're not talking about Georgia. We're not talking about Gunnar Stockton. We're not talking about Marcel Reed and Texas A&M. Again, you look at Ole Miss, Texas A&M, probably has a case to be higher than South Carolina, Florida. I think this is what we're looking at though when we talk about that middle tier, 5 through 12. So you've got 5 is South Carolina, Florida, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Auburn, Missouri. Anywhere between 9 and 7 wins, depending on a handful of games there.
Yep. And that's going to be the kicker, I think, is, all those are 50-50 games. So how much separation is there between 5 and 12? Now,
Not much. Yeah.
Go to the bottom feeders really quick. Go 13 to 16.
Vanderbilt.
What's the order?
Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Kentucky, Hail State, baby.
Yeah, I'll take Jeff Lebby over the Wildcats this year. And let's see. I think Vanderbilt being down there is probably too low, even though I think that they slide back this year. I don't think they're catching anybody by surprise. They're not catching anybody by surprise this time. I get it. They have a good system, and Pavia is really good. He's really good.
Yeah, but hang on.
But they're not catching anybody. And then he ran his mouth.
He came back for a national championship.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like when he started calling people out, we knew that it was kind of going off the rails a little bit for them. People are going to keep those receipts. Nobody's going to sleep on them now.
What's worse, Pavia calling out for a national championship or Castellanos at Florida State saying he's coming after Alabama week 1?
He can do it by his damn self, is what he said. End quote. All right, we're going to hit one more break here. And we'll be back here in just a moment. Reminder that TriFit Performance is always here for you, trifitperformance.com. If you need help with any injuries, performance, physical therapy, make sure you check them out. Give Mitch a holler. All right, this is SEC Sunday Night on the Chief Sports Network. We'll be right back.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe true health and peak performance start with personalized care. Whether you're an athlete recovering from injury or just chasing your next personal best, we're here to guide your journey. With expert coaching, hands-on therapy, and transparent cash-based pricing, you get the care you need without the insurance red tape. One client drove 100 miles just to see us and said it was worth every mile. Contact us at trifitperformance.com or 803-353-5619. TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, where recovery meets results.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
This is SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome back to Why Am I Not?
Welcome back to SEC Sunday Night, as my guy was a little bit of a tearjerker. Oh, you know what? I think on the break, he may have been listening to my favorite band, Coldplay. Is that right?
Am I spotty for you? Because my internet is absolutely cheeks right now. What is going on? Okay.
I think you're just that hot right now.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about this. Let's talk about Coldplay for a minute.
Okay,
because we got to go there.
That's my favorite band, and like literally when I'm rocking at work, it's Pandora's Coldplay Radio.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Pandora. How old are you, Craig? How old are you? This man is listening to Pandora.
I got a physical this week, and my cholesterol is high, so I got to change my diet. Old.
My goodness. Who listens to Pandora? You need somebody get this man an Apple Music or a Spotify account. Stat.
Bring a
You
sponsor.
got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. All right, so favorite Coldplay song?
Has to be My Universe. That's me and the little one song. Whenever that comes on, the smile that comes across her face, got to be My Universe.
Can I be as cliche as possible and pick Yellow? Is that okay?
That brings me back to high school, and you were just in diapers.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so astronomer CEO gets caught on the jumbotron. Here's my thing: why don't they just play it off? If they just acted normal, this never happens. We're not talking about this.
Why not just take your wife?
Well, I mean, that's the first thing that you should say.
I'm just
that
saying.
That would make the most sense. However, from a practical standpoint, you know what though? It gave us a whole new trove of memes, and so they got to come from somewhere, don't they?
They really do, and it's like you feel bad for those poor folks, but it's like you brought it on yourself, and let's be honest.
I was gonna say, to your point, they kind of did it to themselves.
Right, you kind of reap what you sow, but like, I mean, to see, but I was thinking the whole time, like, oh my gosh, you could see Coldplay at Fenway. That would be amazing. I mean, I've loved Coldplay for like 27, 28 years now. Is that how long they've been around?
Yeah,
98,
like
99. That. Yeah.
Something like that. And I was like, 4 or 5 years old. Whatever.
I had right. Yellow. I had parachutes. I had them all.
Let's look at it really quick. If you look at the All-SEC first team,
yep,
the teams that have multiple players on the first team, can we look at that?
Yep.
South Carolina, Texas, Florida, Georgia, Alabama.
Georgia's all defense, though.
I didn't miss one, correct? Because Auburn has one.
Do you do the chop chop?
A&M has one. I said that, yeah. A&M only has one. Missouri only has one. There's 10 teams represented out of the 16 on the first team.
That tells me there's some depth in the league.
Correct. However, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 teams that have multiple players. Actually, I'm sorry. I discounted Auburn. 6 teams. 6 teams that have multiple players.
Mean to Auburn?
I missed Keldrick Falk at the top there on defensive line.
Yeah, leave Brother Hugh alone.
So, what does that say about those 6 teams? Is there somebody that we're sleeping on? Because obviously Texas and Alabama, we know what we feel. We know what we feel about Georgia. So there's your 3, but then the other 3 are Auburn, South Carolina, and Florida. Is there more talent in Gainesville, Auburn, or Columbia that we're not thinking about?
Well, to me, it comes down to, okay, they have the Jimmies and Joes, but do they have the coaching in order to coach them up? And I think if you look at Auburn, you look at Florida, our biggest complaints are not necessarily about the kids and the talent. It comes down to those coaching, and I don't think either one of us trust the coaching enough.
Wait. So of those 3, Florida, Auburn, and South Carolina, which head coach are you taking, Greg?
I'll take Shane.
Yeah, of course. Why would you not look at the 3? Look at the 3. Are you kidding me?
How did Lenoris go number 1? I know you and JB had an excellent chat this week about Lenoris and everything else. But I'm sorry, how is he the number 1 on the preseason?
I think that the coaches that have seen him are
media.
Do what?
It's the media. It's not the coaches. It's the media.
True, you're correct. Media falls in love with.
How conflicted are you? Nuss versus Lenoris. It's like you're that meme, like trying to pick the button right now.
I think that media falls in love with raw ability, and that's what Lenoris has. I mean, he has more ability than anybody else. That's accurate. He has more ability than anybody else. If he can maximize his ability, then he is the number 1 quarterback in the league and probably the number 1 quarterback in the country.
I guess my thought is he's going to have to do more with less, and that's not a slight on South Carolina. If I look at Nussmeier,
more or less compared to Nussmeier, yeah,
and that's exactly how I'm saying. So I don't want
to
get like that much. Listen, I was trying to be calm and cool,
but when you look at a roster standpoint, like nobody's roster is better than Texas,
right?
Is it
correct? No.
Okay.
No.
So that's a more with more situation at Texas. Like you're just maximizing talent. I mean, I get it. South Carolina has a lot of unproven talent that I think if you look at it from, a little bit behind the scenes look, I think that they have guys who can be developed that can become top SEC playmakers, but they just have some more unknown names and they have some younger guys. The roster in general, in the 2 deep is much younger than it was last year. I don't think it's much less raw talent than last year. It's just much less known because you're relying on so many younger players. The thing about Lenoris, and I'll say this before we get off, is that I think it's all between the ears from him. I said it a minute ago about Austin Simmons, like the raw intellect, but I think that Lenoris' ability to process very quickly in the moment and handle the pressure, we saw that improve over the course of the season, and he's only going to grow and mature in that. Physical tools-wise, he outperforms everybody in the country because of his just raw athleticism and ability. I mean, he set a record for broken tackles at the quarterback position against Clemson last year. It's a little bit ridiculous what you're able to see him do on the field at times, and I don't tend to think he's as inaccurate as what other people do. I mean, he was a top 5 deep ball passer in the league last year. In that intermediate range, things are going to improve. It's little things with his feet, but that's moving from freshman to sophomore where those things can be cleaned up. The thing that you can't teach, that you can't instill, it's not just mental toughness. It is just an it factor and ability to go out there and turn it on and be a gamer.
Yep.
And he is cool, calm, and collected in those moments, and that inspires confidence in the rest of the team. That's something where that's a question I have about Garrett Nussmeier because he's been turnover prone. He's a gunslinger. He's a little Brett Favre-ish.
Yep.
And so are they going to are they inspired by the same bit of confidence that you get with somebody like Lenoris, who handles every moment as even kill as he does? Doesn't go up too high, down too low, whatever the case may be. So,
Hang on.
yes,
2
go ahead.
things before we get out of here. First and foremost, we went a whole show without talking about DJ Lagway and the Gators. That's big to come. Second, happy anniversary to my love, Mary. 12 years tonight.
Absolutely. Congratulations to you guys. Big shout out to Craig and Mary making it 12 years together after tying the knot back when I was, I don't know, in high school or something. All right. We're gonna get out of here. This is SEC Sunday Night. We'll be back next week live on the Chief Sports Network at 8 o'clock. We'll have Brad Crawford on here with us to break down the SEC even further as we jump into 1 week closer to college football being here. Make sure that you're tuned in to Chief Sports all week this week for so many shows and opportunities to engage with college football and college sports content. And make sure you download the Chief Sports app so that you can be up to date on everything that's going on. Thanks for being here with us. We'll see you next Sunday night at 8 o'clock.